Hello Guardians, ISO here. In this video, I wanted to talk about the main character of the new season that released recently, the season of the Splicer. This main character is undoubtedly Mithrax, or Misraaks as he used to be called. He has a quite long and storied history. He was born into the House of Wolves, but this was before Marasov took control of the house. He was captured by Seer Ido, the original Queenswrath of the Awoken, as described by the book The Dreaming City in the chapter Misraaks. The Vandal stoops as he exits the Galliot. All of his arms are bound behind his back, so he cannot shield his eyes from the bright sun. A breeze stirs his cloak. There's a cliff behind him and a lush garden ahead. His jailer would not grant him the honor of a quick death, so she must intend to torture him. She thinks he will yield, like the flesh lovers from House Judgment. She is wrong. Whatever indignities she can muster are nothing compared to what he deserves. With his chin held high, he imagines shucking off his armor and laying all four of his arms in his captain's hands. His captain is his mother, and she will not dock him with a scythe. She will twist and tear his arms from his body like she is shucking a fine fat crab for dinner. And he will be glad of the slow, sick cracks and crunches of his bones. He will be glad of the shame. Let him go limbless for the rest of his wasted life. Let the ether thirst shrivel him up like a Yavirsi fig. "What do you think?" his jailer asks in a language he cannot understand. She steps up beside him and claps a hand on his shoulder. He flinches. She's nearly as tall as he is, and for a creature with no claws, her grip is strong and sure. Together they contemplate the gardens. "It's all a bit much for my taste," she admits, as he sneaks a furtive look at her. Her bow is unstrung. There is only one arrow in her quiver. She is stupid. He whirls, trips her, and sprints for the cliff. She swears, recovers, and lunges after him. As he pitches himself off the edge, he thinks of his mother's shame and prays that she forgets him. Better that she never had a son than a weakling so easily captured by the enemy. It is his bad luck that she catches his foot with one hand. His helmet slams into the rocky cliffside, and a piece of his rebreather cracks off and disappears into the mist far below. He flails, but he cannot drag her down with him. Somehow she hauls him in like a fish. As soon as she has him on solid ground, she binds his ankles with the string of her bow. "All right," she says, catching her breath. "All right." She chuckles, pats his shoulder fondly, and then pulls him upright like a sack of sawkicks. She takes a step back, brushing off her hands against the seat of her trousers. He glowers, the surliest sawkick sack this side of the great machine, hating her horrible squared-off teeth and her blunt, stubby fingers. "Let's try this again, shall we?" Drawing two fractal knives from sheaths of her thighs, she makes a perfect earlease bow before him. Thunderstruck, he sits up straight and stares. "Not good?" she asks, and tries again. Furious confusion takes him. This is some kind of trick. Blasphemous mockery.
"You're so vex,"
he rumbles. She shakes her head. "Nama." Sheathing one of her knives, she holds out her free hand, with her fingers spread in supplication. He draws his chin towards his throat with a fresh betrayal, narrowing his secondary eyes. It speaks. Slowly, without breaking eye contact, she lays her other knife on the ground between them. The blade points towards her boots. He watches her every movement. How many secrets have the flesh lovers betrayed, that this creature can make peace like a cringing Drek before his Kell? She taps two fingers against her cuirass. "Sieur," she says slowly. Then she points at him. Honor bound even as he simmers in scandal, he replies,
Misraaks. Velask. Siurix.
Mithrax, she repeats, then grins. Velask, Mithrax, and welcome. Let's have a look about, shall we? This marked the beginning of Mithrax's friendship with Seer Ido. He became an ally of the Awoken people, fighting alongside Seer and some of the Awoken crows against the other Fallen that remained hostile. The following tells of a special moment that marked a turning point in his life. This lore is found on the weapon Truth. Smoke winds away from the battlefield in wavering scarves. Corsairs and crows move through the wreckage in pairs, searching for the dead. When they find awoken survivors, they call for help. When they find a devil or a wolf, they call for a field medic in prison-grade restraints. A vandal watches all of this from the wing of a galliot, with his 4 arms folded around his knees. He knows battle, and so death does not disturb him. He was born of war, made for it, shaped by it. And yet, as he stared out at the charred bodies of his cousins, at the bent bodies of his new allies, "Vel," Seer says, startling him. He peers down to find her on tiptoes, chin on the edge of the galliot's wing. She juts her thumb over her shoulder, indicating the battlefield. "Mpari Mokilum." He frowns.
Raskakilum. Sikesk.
She frowns back at him, and though she only has 2 eyes, her stare is mother-strong. The vandal sighs and lets go of his knees.
Vaisis.
He grumbles as he slides off of the galliot, sulking past her. "Ha ha," she replies, humorless. He picks his way down to the worst of it and joins the search. Over the next hour, he finds a wolf that he half remembers from a distant relative's coming-of-age ceremony. 3 devils who look at him with uncomprehending confusion and anger, and 1 crow, irretrievably trapped beneath the fuselage of his ship. He's about to abandon a ruined devil's skiff when he hears a faint hiss from inside a ventilation shaft. He's about to abandon a ruined devil's skiff when he hears a faint hiss from inside a ventilation shaft. He clambers up to peer into its grate and sees 4 wary eyes shining back at him. A hatchling, still soft and translucent with its egg molt. Carefully, he pries the grate open and beckons to her.
Velask Kelech.
He murmurs.
Nam Kemrak.
She crawls into his palm, and his heart surges. This is where Mithrax found his adopted daughter, who he named Ido, after his best friend, the woman that saved his life. However, decades later, Seer perished during the Reef Wars. Mithrax did not wholly trust Marasav, so he fled the Dreaming City and joined House Dusk, a fallen house created from the broken remnants of previously destroyed houses. While seeking an easy way to produce ether for his people, he traveled to Titan, a moon of Saturn, in search of a methane reactor. While there, he encountered the Hive that had rooted themselves into the moon's ruined factory infrastructure, as well as attracting the attention of the Vanguard. The protagonist was nearby, also looking for the same reactor for a different purpose. They investigated and found Mithrax, doing battle with the Hive Knight. Instead of slaying them both, the protagonist showed mercy, and spared Mithrax.
I think that captain just gave us the reactor. You think you understand the Fallen, and then... Well, let's take it. Sloane's waiting. Sloane, you'll never guess what happened.
You killed a captain and found a methane reactor?
We didn't kill him. He let us have it. Just looked at us and left.
Fascinating. This is an excellent reminder that the universe is a complicated place. That perhaps there are more things in the heavens that can be dreamt of in our philosophy. At any rate, bring in your prize, Guardian.
Mithrax is quite the complicated character, but we've yet to even scratch the surface of his history. Another video going further into Mithrax will be released soon. I want to thank you for joining me today, and remind you to subscribe if you haven't already. The best way to let me know that you enjoy my content is to leave a like on the video, or a comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.